Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unholy Mole channel. I got Bran from the Geek Room on today. Um, I'm gonna be interviewing him about how he came to become an atheist and what made him, decide to start a YouTube channel. Him and Frankie, and so I guess I'll get into it. So Bran, have were you raised in a religious household?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. My mom was and is to this day a very religious person. My dad, he's awkward. He has his own little viewpoints about religion that are very out there, I mean, bordering on some flat Earth level type of cringe, if I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, I'll say that I was, with the exception that church was never really anything that I was dragged to.
Right,
Um,
right.
it wasn't. We weren't really involved in a church, but I'll say for to make the long story short, if I had dropped a goddamn, I probably would have got backhanded. So
If I would have dropped any curse words, I would have got backhanded. My mom was born in World War II Germany, and that lady did not take no shit, dude. For real. She was. I mean, I loved her to death, but she was one of the strictest women I've ever met. It was like I made the mistake of calling her Hitler once. Oh my god, dude. She fucking she, she whooped my ass, and then she didn't speak to me for 3 weeks because she knew exactly how to hurt me. Because like that drives me crazier than anything else is the silent treatment. You can scream at me, call me names, punch me in the face. I'm fine with that. But if you give me the silent treatment, I just can't deal with that. It's too much for me. I just can't do it. I don't know why. Maybe it's my personality because I'm a very outgoing person, and I want to be I want to be recognized. So if you're ignoring me, I'm like, God damn it, fucking pay attention to me.
I think I'm kind of the opposite, man. If I'm angry with someone and they give me the silent treatment, they usually break before I do. I'm
Oh,
so
really?
I'm so antisocial to begin with. It's mind-boggling, even to myself, that I do anything on YouTube.
Actually, it's not that mind-boggling. You know what? I was talking to a Brit buddy of mine, and you know how stoic the Brit are, right? The Brits are. Um, I think
Yeah.
I think the internet is a way to express yourself without without putting too much of yourself on the line because there is that anonymity factor. So I think that gives you an outlet without opening yourself up to too much criticism, or if it is criticism, it's by people that don't really matter to you anyway. I mean, I
I,
don't know. Does that make sense?
I guess I could see what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, there's been very few things that I've taken to where I'd kind of lower the shield, so to speak, and not be so awkward. At least try not to, anyway. And YouTube just happens to be one of them. But yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying.
Right. And like, I mean, like for instance, I just finally found an editing program that I'm an old guy compared to, I mean, like, I'm not sure what your age is, but I mean, for a YouTuber, I'm an old guy. I'm 40. And so, I mean, they didn't even have computers in my high school until I was like a senior. So, I mean, I'm very computer illiterate. Uh,
Yeah.
so I finally found an editing program that's pretty user friendly. So now I can actually start making videos. Thank goodness. I mean, streams have their place too. Um, once I noticed that once I started taking it more seriously and like doing the interviewing atheist thing, my subscriber count jumped tremendously because it wasn't just bullshit streams where you're just yada 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 talking about whatever. It does
Sure.
make a difference. I mean, I guess it's just like in real life, you get what you pay for on YouTube. I mean, you're gonna get subs if you put out good content. It's the way it is. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you're gonna get what I mean. It's the same thing. I mean, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, man, I got you.
So, what was the catalyst that made you question your religiosity in the first place? Then, I guess.
Um, Here's the thing. Like, I would have classified myself as as a Christian just because that's what was expected of me from birth. I'd probably have said it up until maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Mhm.
But to be honest with you, there was always that um, doubt. Like I never really took it seriously, honestly. I think once I reached around the age of maybe 12 or 13, I was just, there's no way this is true. This is just another one of those Santa Claus things. I guess they'll tell me this when I'm like, 20 or 30, even though that never happened.
Right, right.
Um,
I
I
get
mean,
exactly where you're coming from.
honestly, that's just kind of what my whole thing. It was more of, I live in South Carolina, right in the fucking Bible Belt. Um, Everyone, my family and friends around me are Christians. I had no idea there was a community anywhere, of non-believers. So I just kind of kept it to myself, even though I really secretly didn't believe, any of this shit.
Right. Now, can I ask, what are the predominant religions in South Carolina? Let me guess: Southern Baptist and Pentecostal.
Generally, yeah. There's so many different variations of the same shit, honestly, down here that is mind-boggling.
Because I had family in Virginia, and that was predominantly. I mean, Baptist and Pentecostal were the two predominant. I mean, of course, you got Lutherans and Methodists and stuff, but predominantly it was. They really like that whole hellfire and brimstone thing down south. I've noticed.
Oh yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
they
yeah.
they really dig that hellfire and brimstone down there.
Yeah, they're really big into see they do this thing now where it's pretty much, we're not being bigots of any kind, but maybe there's some substance to this whole gay people ought to be put to death. That snide bigotry they like to slide in there.
So kind of like a tongue-in-cheek bigotry. Like,
Yeah, kind of, sorta.
yeah, like they don't really come out with it, but they probably mean it in their heart, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's really passive aggressive.
Ah,
It's
yeah.
like yeah, it's not my it's I've actually heard this one a lot. It's not my place to judge you, but I'll pray for you. That kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's one of the most condescending things I can hear. Like, I'll pray for you. I'm like, don't waste your breath, man. I'm like, just don't, keep me in your thoughts is one thing, or I'll keep your family in my thought. That's one thing, but I'll pray for you. Praying's not going to do a bit of good. If you want to do something, go out and buy some food for a family that's not well off. I mean, do something useful. You
yeah, I
know,
mean,
don't
think
just.
of. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just. That's pretty much what I was going to say. Is don't pray, do something useful. If you want to really help, if you truly want to help, I mean, I think praying is the equivalent of saying, "Oh, that's too bad," but I don't want to seem like a dick, so I'm going to say, "I'll pray for you." That's
Yeah,
what that's what it equates to me as. Like I don't really care, but I'm going to act like I do, so I'll pray for you.
I'm not really gonna do anything, but I'm gonna pretend like I am.
Right.
No,
I'm gonna ask God to help you.
it's to me it's like, take religion out of this. Let's act as if we've never heard about any religion before. And you have a loved one pass away, or something really negative is going on in your life, and someone comes up to you and goes, you know what, I'm going to talk to my imaginary friend about this situation. We're going to see what we can get done about it. Like, how would you react? Because that's the exact same thing.
Right. Right. I would be pissed off. I mean, what else? Or that what I hate is when my mom died, people kept telling me, "Your mom's in a better place." I'm like, "No, she's not. She's buried underground, dude. There's nothing good about that place at all." Like, quit telling me she's in a better place. Like, she's not in a better place. I mean, that's the stupidest thing you can tell someone. Oh, she's with Jesus now. I'm like, yeah, no, no, she's not. Not at all. See, now I wasn't. My mom was a Catholic um by birth, but I wouldn't say we were never practicing anything.
Sure.
They did make me go to catechism class for like maybe a month or two when I was like 12 or 13. And I think that was more or less just to get me out of the house. But
The equivalent to camp.
yeah, it pretty much was. And and when I heard the first time I ever heard Bible stories, I mean, because mind you, I grew up in a non-religious household. Yeah, we had Bibles around, but I mean, I've always been a voracious reader. But at 13 years old, I couldn't exactly sit down and read the Bible. I mean, that's it's pretty dry. Let's put it, that's the say of the least. I mean, to
What a
get going.
fucking page turner, right?
Yeah. I mean, there are some good parts once you get past all the begots and the begats and
Holy shit.
all the history. But my God, that's a lot of nonsense. But I
That's
mean, the
why
first time.
I always call people out when they're like, I've read the whole Bible cover to cover. I'm like, yeah, who begot Seth, motherfucker?
Right, bullshit. You have, what you know what? I would say 90% of Christians only know the verses that they've heard in church that their pastors have said. I almost guarantee that 90% of Christians haven't read their own Bible.
I don't doubt that at all.
I mean, I don't. That's a number I'm just pulling out of my ass, but I mean, it just seems that way.
It does seem to be like a combination of just common quote unquote Christian values that are just embedded in their heads and what they've heard their preachers say. I'd go that far as to say that number is probably somewhat accurate.
Yeah, I mean, like because I mean, like I'll try to like a Christian will try to like yeah, I told you before. I mean, everybody knows I'm a recovered drug addict, and I got clean in a 12-step program, and it was really hard for me at first because they throw the God word around a lot. Luckily, I found a sponsor that told me, "Dude, don't worry about the God thing." Said it's all about the action you take. It's about changing the way you think, changing the way you live. Blah blah blah. And thankfully, I found the one atheist in the group because I live in a pretty small town. So they're I mean, and I'm still to this day. I mean, I'll go every now and then, and they're like, "Here comes the atheist," and they're like, and I'm like, so doesn't that just tell you right there that you don't need God to get clean? I got clean without it. It had nothing to do with it. Like I got a kick out of it. Like I'm only sober today because I get on my knees every morning and pray. Does your God's magic only have like a 24-hour lifespan? You got to do it every morning for it to like you got to
re-up, man.
Yeah, you got to re-up the spell or whatever. So I always got a kick out of that. Yeah. So I was pretty much raised the same way as you were. I mean, I wasn't raised religious. I guess I've been an atheist since I was 13 or 14. Like, first time I heard the story of Adam and Eve, I'm like, well, that's fucking ridiculous. I mean, like that makes no sense at all. And then, like Noah and the ark and Jonah and the well and just all the biblical stories, none of them have none of them make sense. You could tell they were written by people that were superstitious, Bronze Age bumpkins that had no idea how the earth really worked.
They were fucking huddled around a fire trying to figure out what the fuck the sun was, but I'm going to take advice on how to live my life from these people. Gotcha.
Right. I mean, if I was going to follow anybody's gods, to be the Greeks, at least they were fucking someone intelligent, or the Romans or somebody.
Yeah, and they were fucking cool too.
Yeah.
I mean, like let's put Thor or Zeus's powers up against Jesus's superpowers. He's got some pretty shitty superpowers, man.
Right on. Yeah, Thor's a bad motherfucker. If I was going to worship any god, he would probably be my god too. Thor,
yeah,
or Loki.
Exactly.
Loki's pretty cool too. You
gonna take Loki, or are you gonna take the guy that can make a lot of fish and bread? You
right.
choose.
Right. I'm not saying that the Bible doesn't have kernels of truth in it, because I think all ancient literature has a kernel of truth in it. I mean, I'm not sure how much truth has stayed, how much of that truth has stayed with it throughout all the translations and the rewritings and the Council of Nicaea, what books they took out, what books they left in. I mean, so it's hard to say how much truth is actually still in there. And I'm a mythicist myself. I think Jesus is more of a symbolic thing than he was a real person.
Yeah.
But I mean, like each atheist is different when it comes to that. But I mean, it just seems to make sense. I mean, I know I'm sure you've seen some Richard Carrier lectures or read some Richard Carrier books, or maybe you even met him. I don't know. I'm hoping to get to Alabama. It's what, 2 weeks from now. He's coming down to. He's going to be hanging with GE. I have family down in Alabama. I'm thinking it's a pretty good time to go and visit my family.
Nice. I didn't know that was going on. When is that?
June 19th, he's going to be at a bar in Huntsville. I believe it's Huntsville, and he's going to have books and he's going to be signing them. So
nice.
I would really enjoy meeting Dr. Richard Carrier. I think that'd be really cool. He seems like such a down to earth guy. You know, most PhDs are so stuffy and hard to talk to, but he seems like a really, really easy guy to talk to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just kind of, it baffles me anytime I hear someone like that actually comes around my area to make any kind of an appearance or anything.
Yeah, especially the Bible Belt. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, like Alabama, that's like, you're like smack dab in the middle of God country down there, aren't you? I mean, the farther south you get, the worse it gets, right? I mean, as far as religiosity, I mean.
I'll tell you what, it's kind of hard to say, because I think, I think you reach a certain point and it kind of dissolves, like right around Florida. Like I know there is a lot of it there, but there's also a lot of things that the state and city governments will allow that they won't. Say, for example, here in South Carolina, I live in a small town in the upstate of South Carolina, and the government, is pretty much ran by a lot of religious people.
Right.
So much so to the point that we couldn't even get a Hooters, for fuck's sake.
Oh wow.
So I don't know. It's weird. It's just like it's in certain regions now where it's still really hardcore, and I just so happen to live in one.
I live in Illinois, and Illinois is not in the Bible Belt, but I would say Illinois is pretty conservative still. I mean, even though I think Illinois is technically a blue state, there is a lot of conservatives here. Like, I know it. Like, within the last 4 years got a head shop in our town.
Holy shit!
I mean, just within the last 4 years, and they have to label it, for tobacco use only, that kind of thing. Because, but the one good thing about Illinois is they did decriminalize marijuana. That's all. I mean, it's not legal, but it's much better to get $100 ticket than to get arrested and thrown in jail for 30 days. Let me tell you.
No shit. Definitely.
I mean, 30 days ain't nothing, but I'd still prefer not to go if I didn't have to.
Well, see, I have this. Like I'll tell you, you'll definitely never see me breaking any laws that would land me any major time, because I really value the hell out of my freedom, and like jail scares the shit out of me. I'm not a big dude, and I really don't want to be someone's bitch, so I'm gonna try my best to keep my nose clean.
Right. I've been to jail, and I'm a pacifist, but I mean, you just can't take no shit in jail. I mean, luckily when I went to jail, I grew up around here, so everybody, when I went to jail, it was like a family reunion. I mean, or like a high school reunion almost. Like everybody was like, "Hey, Mo, what's up, man? What are you in?" Blah 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 blah. I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" But I mean, that's nothing to be proud of. I mean, I haven't been to jail. I haven't been to jail a lot, and the one time I got arrested was a bullshit charge, and the judge knew it, so they ended up I ended up pleading out to like a Class B misdemeanor, and I got 30 days, or no, I got 60 days. I'm sorry, and I served 30 days. I mean, but 30 days is still 30 days in jail, and it's not a pleasant not a pleasant time, especially when you're doing 30 days and you're in there with guys that are looking at life. I mean, you gotta watch your P's and Q's because them guys
Oh
ain't got
yeah.
nothing to lose, you know. I mean, and there's not only the jail rules, you got inmate rules too, you know. So and them are actually the more important rules because the guards can't kick your ass for no reason. The inmates can. So I
Yes,
mean,
there's that.
and like I said, I'm a pacifist by nature. I mean, I'm not a hunter or anything like that. I'm a very big pacifist. It's just the way I am. I'm not saying I haven't been in fights in my life. I have, but always afterwards, I felt like a piece of shit and I felt guilty. So I learned real quick that fighting wasn't for me. And it was
Yeah.
always, I always fought when I had no other choice. I mean, if I was with my back against the wall and I had no other choice, then I would fight, you know?
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of the same way. I'm definitely not gonna jump to, even if it's not a physical altercation. I don't want to jump to a verbal one either. And I'm kind of the same way. I grew up in a kind of a rough neighborhood, and you know, you got to do what you got to do sometimes just to get the point through to people that you know you're just not going to be fucked with constantly for no reason. But yeah, I mean, I definitely feel you. I'd much rather not do that, but sometimes it just has to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, that's life. Some people are just, you know, some people are, and you know what's weird is I'm 40 years old, and this happened just a few months ago. I seen a guy I went to high school with, and he started talking to me like we were still in high school, like he was trying to make fun of me, like, fucking bull, blah. I'm like, dude, I'm like, we're fucking 40 years old. I'm like, you do realize that you're acting like a fucking child, right? And like, and his girlfriend laughed at him, and that made him madder than hell, dude. Like I think if his girlfriend wasn't there, he'd probably punched me in the face. But I had already made him look like a fool, so he's just like, you know, he pretty much just like fuck you and just walked away. But I mean, I made my point. I'm like, we're not in high school anymore, dude. You're not going to bully me, you know? I mean, come on, bro. I'm
Wait
like,
until the 3:30 bell. Your ass
yeah,
is
yeah.
mine.
Meet me behind the gymnasium after school, punk. Your ass is mine. Yeah, that kind of thing. So what 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 really got you into atheism? I mean, like you said, you I mean you at around 13 you started to believe, you know, to doubt the fact that there is a God of some sort. So what actually got you full fledged into atheism?
Yeah, man. Like I said, when I was young, just becoming a teenager, I started doubting it, and you know, but it probably wasn't until I was around I don't know, 19 or 20 years old, and I'm probably going to lose some people who enjoy me by saying this because I know this is a very divisive person, but I don't give a shit. I started watching some TJ Kirk videos. Um, and
I did too.
yeah, I actually it was one of the things he was discussing. I think he was talking about like maybe like the state of modern music. Had nothing to do with atheism, nothing to do with religion, but I enjoyed the video and I started looking at some of his other stuff and I was like, holy shit, there are people that actually have the balls to go out here and just say this with, you know, it's not like he was someone who would ever have you know, a bodyguard or, you know, someone to go with him to an appearance or something. It's just some dude on YouTube saying the things he was saying. And I became a fan of his. And I mean, eventually when you're met with more than just what your mind produces as far as doubt goes, you're met with an outside perspective, which I'd never really had up until that point
Right,
of why, you know, these things are doubted.
right.
Then it was just kind of like, okay, that opened the floodgates, and I would see other YouTubers making similar content, and I would see, you know, getting on Google and actually looking things up and going, yeah, I kind of thought that was bullshit, but having the evidence in front of my face, now I know it is. Okay, so I
Right.
guess that's really what kind of opened the floodgates for me, and I guess maybe I was in my early, maybe mid 20s when I was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell everyone that I don't believe in this shit anymore. I really don't feel like I don't feel like hiding the fact that you know, I don't buy into this, and I'm ready to have a dialogue about it, and I'm ready for the consequences or repercussions that may come from family and friends, because I mean, shit, at some point you just got to be true to yourself and stop hiding just to fit in.
Right. I have a similar story. I grew up in a Bodunk town in Illinois. Still live here. Uh, and I discovered the first three atheist YouTubers I discovered were TJ Kirk, Armored Skeptic back before he got pussy whipped. I'm not gonna lie, I know that's what happened, and Logic, and then I noticed there was a whole community of people that thought like I did. See, like I don't know if you're like me, but it's really hard for me to find intellectual stimulation in a town of this size because people are
Yeah,
so wrapped up in who's fucking who and who's doing this and who's doing that and
that
like
sounds
I
very familiar to me. So
yeah
we live in the same city. Holy shit!
yeah, small town America. It might as well be the same city. Um, but but once I discovered, there was hey, there is so many more people I can talk to and actually have these intellectual and philosophical conversations with, because I've tried having philosophical conversations with people, and they're just like, "Oh, dude, just shut the fuck up. No one cares." I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever." They'd rather talk about, I got a new 350 small block. I'm going to put it in, that kind of thing, and that's just never really been my cup of tea. So, I'm like, oh well,
I
you know,
wholeheartedly feel you on
yeah,
this, man.
yeah.
It's like
So
you're
I mean,
reading my life song or something.
yeah, like I've never what society would be considered a man's man. I've always been more of an intellectual. I learn for the sake of learning. Like I am such a nerd. Like I watch like documentaries and read nonfiction books for fun, and I read fiction books as well. But I'm a total nerd, comic book nerd, and uh, so like I was always kind of an outsider. And I think that, once I started doing drugs, I kind of lost all my hobbies. And, that kind of druggies will accept anybody. So, and actually some of the druggies I met, I've had more intellectual conversations with them than I have normal people.
Fact.
So, um,
Fact.
what made you decide to start a YouTube channel?
I mean, I've pretty much been using YouTube since damn near its launch. Um, I'd never actually had a personal channel that was just for me. So I was already very familiar with it. I helped run a company, and I ran all of its social media accounts, including its YouTube. I used to have a YouTube account back in the day where I'd just make edits and just fuck around, nothing serious. Um, so I mean, one day I just kind of, what, I already know how to use YouTube. I enjoy creating content. Maybe I can put something out that's me. You know what I'm saying? So just a bunch of different topics that I normally would talk about. That's pretty much my channel. Like, I mean, yeah, I definitely talk about religion. That's probably the main, I guess, my subscribers. It's pretty much what they want to see. But I mean, I talk about a lot of stuff. You were talking earlier about being a comic nerd. I'm like a horror nerd. So
I'm that too. So
oh fuck yeah, man!
yeah,
Like I'm literally shitting kittens right now because the new Halloween trailer's dropping Friday.
yeah.
So
Do you enjoy
yeah.
urban fantasy by any chance?
What's that now?
Urban fantasy, like Jim Butcher or Simon Green. Like Jim Butcher writes the Dresden Files. It's about a modern day wizard in Chicago. He's like an anti-hero. He's always getting his ass kicked. It's like horror and fantasy combined.
I'm not familiar with this, but it sounds pretty epic.
You should check it out. I think there's 23 books in the series now. He also writes some like I guess it's like a cross between sci-fi and steampunk almost.
Yeah.
Uh, but and then there's also Simon Green. He writes some good urban fantasy. I'm not talking like the Laurel K. Hamilton urban fantasy where everybody ends up having sex. That kind of urban fantasy. I'm talking like actual blood and guts and that kind of urban fantasy is where I'm at. That's what I like.
Yeah, that
Um,
sounds pretty awesome, man. I'm gonna have to check that out.
it's pretty cool. If you get a chance, check out Simon R. It's Simon R. Green. He's a British author. He writes. He has a couple different series. He has one called the Droods, and it's about this family in England that like somehow they like some alien tech fell out of the sky and like the ninth or 10th century, and they've been like the protectors of England or the protectors of the world ever since. They have like this. They like wear a torque around their neck, and it's like um, if they sub vocalize, like armor covers their body and it's impenetrable, and they can like think they whatever they think, like they could think their hand turns into a sword. And then they also got he's got another series. It's called The Night Side, and it's a hidden part of London where it's always 3 a.m. and you can find your deepest, darkest desires. So there's gods and demons and werewolves and aliens and uh, people from the future and all kinds of crazy shit. It's pretty interesting. If you get
Holy
a chance, check it out. It's pretty neat. So um, so what? So you've always been into YouTube. So you and Frankie got together and decided to start the Geek Room, or
Yeah, well, I actually I went to high school with Frankie.
oh, okay,
Yeah, I met him probably around like sophomore year, and at that point in time, actually, Jackass was pretty popular. So Frankie and I actually belonged to a little troop of high schoolers that would go around and became, I guess, use the word infamous around town, where we'd go and just do crazy, ridiculous ass stunts and shit, and sell the
small
DVDs
town,
around school. So
small
I mean,
town. Yeah, I
yeah,
get it. I get it.
I mean,
There's not much to do in a small town besides get in trouble, really, is there?
exactly. And this town's so against any form of real entertainment that it does kind of come to that. So that's how I'd met him, and we had kept up through the years on Facebook and whatnot. And we had actually talked about it maybe a year before we ever did it. That we kind of we both wanted to do something like what we're doing now on the Geek Room, although it has evolved from its original
Mm-hmm.
blueprint. Um, but maybe a year out before we did it, we actually were talking about it, and we were like, someday we'll do it. And like I said, about a year later, he popped back up and he was like, "Dude, fuck it, let's do this."
Right.
So yeah, me and Frankie, we have a lot of history. I think that's why we work together so well.
Yeah, I mean, well, you guys have been friends since high school. That there's a special bond there. I mean,
Sure.
that does make it a special bond. And I have to say, the our community. I mean, not the whole atheist community as a whole, but our little clique. I mean, there's like what 60 of us that actually all watch each other's videos all the time, and we're all it's the
Yeah.
same people in every chat. We're pretty tight, and I gotta say that I've never seen a YouTube clique that tight. I mean, that are that cool with each other. I mean, it's a dog eat dog world, but in our little community, we kind of all push for each other instead of trying
Yeah.
to one up each other, and I love that part of it. I think
Yeah.
that's pretty special.
Like inter fighting amongst ourselves is extremely low here. They're I won't mention them because as soon as I do, they'll find out about it and try to come after your channel too. But there's a community of guys here on YouTube that have nothing to do with atheism or even religion, but they are everything I don't want out of a YouTube community, and I like to consider them the polar opposite of this of our sub community, I guess.
Right, right.
I think you're absolutely right. I love this community of people because there's so little inner fighting, and usually when it happens, in the rare off chance that it happens, it's settled and we move on one way or another. So
And it's usually petty shit. I mean,
sure.
it's petty shit. And that's what yeah. And like I have to give Don Michaud props, another freaking atheist. That guy has done so much for this community. That guy he works tirelessly. And another person I have to mention is Caitlin KC.
Yeah.
She is that chick has got more energy than I know what to do with. I mean, like,
and it doesn't, especially in the two people you just named, it doesn't go unnoticed too. Like, you know, I see how much they share out, all kinds of different creators within the sub community and what we're doing, and it's great to have people like that. And I try to do it myself just because people like that are kind of like an inspiration. You know, it's like shit. You know, they care about what I'm doing. They care about what everyone's doing here, and that's just one of the many building blocks, I think.
And regardless of the channel size too. And regardless of the channel size. Like, I mean, like, the first time, like, I asked Godless Engineer to be on my channel, I had like 110 subs, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And I'm like, really? And then I just tweeted him today, and I'm like, hey, you know, I'm like, the last time I had you on, it was real early in the morning, so I mean, there wasn't really it wasn't a very big viewing audience. Would you mind coming back on again, you know, so I can re-interview you, you know, because he was like one of the first people I interviewed. But I think Staggers and Jags was my first, because me and him have been buddies for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, man, sure, no problem. And like, I hit Telltale Atheist up the other day, and I'm like, hey, I know you don't know me, dude, but I said, I do interviews on my channel. I said, would you have a problem with coming on and letting me interview? He said, no, not a problem. He said, why don't you shoot me a time and a date, and if that doesn't work for me, I'll send you a counter offer. I'm like, that sounds fine with me. The non sequitur, Kyle Curtis, I'm going to be having him on pretty soon. Shannon, me and her have had a couple dates set up, but we got fucked up with the time zone differences, and Shannon is a busy lady. I mean,
yeah,
between her channel and Paul's channel and working and raising her kid, you know, I mean, I don't know how she even finds time to make videos, to be honest with you. But
and I'll tell you, speaking on Godless Engineer, he actually came on to Let's Riff over on YouTube, over on the Geek Room. I think he was probably like our first guest that we had on that was, you know, someone who had built a channel. You know what I'm saying? Right. So he did the same thing for us. You know, no wasted time. It was like, yeah, sure, yeah, I'll do it. It really is. It's just a good community of people, man. They're willing to help out the smaller channels if they are a bigger channel. It's never really it's not really like much of a hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? It's just like everyone's doing their own thing, and we're all helping each other. It's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of us all do similar things. I mean, a lot of us interview atheists. Don does it. You guys do it. You know, the Non Sequitur show does it.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that's cool about it is we all approach it from a different angle, so that makes it watchable. It's not like, oh fuck, I've already seen that guy get interviewed, so I'm not going to watch that again, because we all approach it from a different angle. You know, I mean, we all have a different way of going about doing it, so that's what makes it cool. And I just, like I said, the love and support that we get from the people in the community, I mean, you can't beat that. Like, I must say that I mean, this is a weird thing to say, but I would say I literally trust the people I talk to on the internet more than I do to the people I do in real life. I mean, but I grew up in this town, and I know how shady they are, so that doesn't help matters. I'm sure your town's the same way. Small towns suck, don't they?
Oh, dude, they're the fucking worst. And the bad thing is it's like you kind of get trapped in them.
Yeah,
because
they're like, you know, black hole.
Yeah, you set up a life in them, and you know, then you're like, well, shit, man, I kind of want to leave, and it's just like, you know, you got family and friends and obligations, and living in a small town. Also, it makes you a little bit scared to move. You get a little too comfortable.
Yeah, you get complacent and comfortable.
Sure.
Yeah, and I don't know if I could live in a big city, to be honest with you. I don't know if I could deal with the hustle and bustle, and I mean, I in a way, I hate the fact that everybody knows me in this town, but I don't know if I could deal with the anonymity of living in a big city either. I mean, there's pros and cons, I suppose, to both sides of it.
I really wouldn't want to live in a big city either, but the town I live in has grown a lot since I was a child.
uh
And I'm such a fucking social outcast. I'm like a step above away from agoraphobic almost. Like I just leave the house to go to work and I come home and fuck
Yeah.
everyone on the way. That I've actually made it to where like most people in this town don't even know who the hell I am now by design. So I'm working on that. Hopefully in the next few years, no one in this town will know me, so I can just glide by effortlessly.
I mean, what was I going to say? Yeah, like my town. I don't think people. Well, now I've been clean for a little over 5 years. So I mean, now I'm back in good standing in the community. Like even the police like me, and that's crazy. They never have. Well, they've never hated me, but they always kind of figured I was up to no good. But they don't mess with me anymore. I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't that kind of criminal. I mean, I wasn't like out robbing people and shit like that. I mean, they knew I was into bad stuff, so they kind of
Sure.
kept an eye on me. Um, so what plans do you have for the Geek Room? Are you guys gonna keep the format, or are you gonna mix it up a little bit? Where would you like to see it in the next year? Would you say?
Well, I know we are adding some segments. I don't want to say too much. I mean, we did say a little bit on the show last week of
Uh,
some of the certain segments we're going to be adding in.
right on.
Um, we're going to start doing definitely going to be keeping the less riff. That's probably the funnest thing I ever am a part of on a weekly basis. But I know we're going to start doing some more MST3K style riffing videos.
Right.
We already released one. We're actually both scripting the next one right now, which is the cartoon or the animated excerpt from the Mormon or the anti-Mormon cartoon, The God Makers.
Uh-huh.
We're working on that one right now. But as far as just like where the channel's going and where I see it in the next couple of years, in addition to that stuff, we definitely want to keep bringing people on. Because I mean, what we do is just pretty much jest. We just pretty much fuck on certain YouTubers
Right.
and just kind of
Right.
make fun of. We're kind of. I always considered Frank and I sort of like the jesters of this community. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm kind of that way too. Do you know who Strike is?
Yeah, I've heard of him before, but
Okay,
I don't think I'm
he
familiar with
he
his
he
content.
has a he has a thing called Friday Night Movie Night, and the people he has on there, like me and another buddy of mine, Artemis Brain Sample, like we have open invitations. We're welcome anytime we want to come on there, and I almost feel like we're just comic fodder. I mean, like because these guys, like I mean, like I couldn't hold a candle in the wind to them when it comes to like their scientific knowledge. Like I almost feel like a dummy when I'm on there. I'm just on there for comic fodder. Like, but I mean, I know I'm no dummy. That's why I was telling you about how I want to kind of go in a different direction with my channel. Like, as much as I love watching response videos, I want to go with where my strengths lie. My strengths lie in history. So I would almost like to do almost more of a like a religion for breakfast kind of channel. I mean, that guy's way better than I am, but I mean that kind of direction. Like, I mean,
Sure.
like, I mean, not necessarily in that exact same direction, but I want to
Yeah.
put my love into use. I love history. I've always been a history lover. I mean, that's another reason I think that made me an atheist is because I know about the history of ancient religions, and I know about the history of that predate Christianity by thousands of years, and the stories are just. I mean, Christianity is just a combination of Sumerian and Babylonian religions that they stole. So I mean, mixed in with a little bit of their own, of course, obviously. But I want to kind of do almost like the history angle, and I don't think I'm gonna stick strictly to atheist videos. I'm a musician, so I love music. So I mean, I can also go with the history of music. I've been in and out of bands since I was like 15 years old. Um, so I mean, no one says that your channel has to have one certain topic that it has to stick to. I mean, no one ever said, no one ever said that. I mean, and I'm sure that a lot of atheists are also history buffs, so I'm not too worried about that because the people that are already subscribed to me will probably like history as well. So I'm not too worried about that. But I mean, I would like to do something a little different. I mean, I don't want to just be another response atheist channel because there's God knows how many of them. But I have to say, I do have to say though that a lot of the newer like Godless Island, he hasn't stuck. I mean, he does some response, but I like how he's fresh. I mean, he's brought a new angle to it. Like he does a lot of different things, and the thing I like about our community is the streaming thing is I mean, this is what this is all about is being able to discuss ideas with people that we wouldn't normally be able to discuss ideas with. I live in I live in a little bodunk town. You live in a little bodunk town. I bet you a majority of us do. I mean, I used to think that like white trash was just an American thing, but it's worldwide. It is worldwide, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. I'm not saying like we're white. I mean, but I mean that's how society would look at us as white trash. I'm not saying we are white trash. I'm just saying redneck may be a better word for it. If you're from rural America, chances are you got a little bit of redneck in you.
Well, I'll put it to you like this, man. You're talking about, doing what you want to do on your channel and, not just being tied down. I definitely say go for it because as much as I love doing the religion videos that I've done, which are 9 times out of 10 just, takedowns of whoever's in the news, preaching whatever bullshit. I mean, it's just so much fun for me able to go and review a horror movie and post it and have fun doing it. Or it's fun for me to do a live stream where I'm just like, look what fucked up news happened this week, So, yeah, dude, branch out. It's so much fun.
I mean, and there's so much more. I mean, there's conspiracy theories. I mean, I'm a skeptic of all things, I mean, unless there's evidence, I mean, I'm going to be a skeptic of it. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Sure.
So who are some of the, I know you told me about TJ Kirk, obviously, but who are some of the first YouTuber or some of the first atheist YouTubers, I guess, that you really got into? That that made you think, man, I want to do this too. I got a voice. I got something to say. I want to do this.
Yeah. Aside from TJ, it would it'd actually be another TJ. Coctopus Prime. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He doesn't do much on his solo channel anymore. He does a show with a couple of guys. I think Dark Matter's on it. It's called The Goddamn Podcast. Him, most definitely. I thought his stuff was fantastic. Actually, I'd say Cult of Dusty, but he I don't know what to say about Dusty here lately. He's
I don't like that I don't like that he's mixed his politics in with. I'm not a big fan of politics as it is. So, I mean, if you want to make a political channel, that's fine, but don't mix your atheism with your politics. I mean,
yeah, his Twitter is straight up cancer these days.
It's
like I sit there and I'm like, God, man, I used to be such a big fan of you, Dusty. It was like hearing my thoughts through a voice that sounded similar to mine. That Southern accent. It was like, what? This is kind of cool. This is. It resonated with me, I guess. So I don't know what the fuck his issue is now, though.
I mean, I don't even know what to call my political affiliation. If I had to, I guess centrist.
That's about as close as I can come to mind.
Because in some ways I got some conservative values, and in some ways I have some liberal values. So I'm
sure.
I really don't know. I'm bipartisan, a centrist. I guess them are the two most appropriate terms I could come to. I mean, whoever I think would do the best job is who I would vote for. I mean, I don't have a political affiliation, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think that not to speak down to anyone who considers themselves to be a solid rock hard member of whatever party, but I think if you honestly sit down and you look at whatever the circumstances and situations may be,
Mm-hmm.
you don't end up being able to see both sides. In certain instances, then you're kind of a part of the problem in a lot of ways. Because if you look at some of the main reasons nothing ever gets done in this country, I mean, at least on the surface, it's got a lot to do with just inner fighting between political parties, and
Yeah,
it's
and
counterproductive.
if you ask me, both sides of the fence are so fucking off their rocker now that I mean,
Yep,
I don't want to be affiliated with either side because
exactly.
on the conservative side you got gay bashing and fucking you know they want to put down anybody that isn't a straight white Christian, and on the left side they hate all white males. So
Exactly.
I mean, like, where does that leave me? I mean, I have nothing against, for like I've always said, no gay trans person has ever tried to convert me, but a Christian has, so I hate them more, you know. So I don't have a problem with gay people or trans
Yeah.
people. I mean,
Where's
they have every right to live a happy life just as much as I do. And then
where's
on
the
the
where's our political party, man? You know,
right, right,
the right has gone too far right, the left has gone too far left.
they've alienated.
Libertarians are just like for the edgy kids or whatever. It's like,
Yeah,
where the fuck
yeah.
do I go?
Yeah, it's almost like I've been pushed into the center. I mean,
Exactly.
I would have considered myself, say, 10 years ago, I would have probably considered myself a classic liberal. But I
Yeah.
mean, as you age, your outlook on things change. Obviously,
Yeah.
I mean that's how everybody. I know like I see these kids that are like 19, 20 years old today, and they think they're going to be that way their whole life. Well, newsflash, buddy, in 10 years you're not even going to be that same person, not even close to that same person. You know what I mean? So I mean, but they'll learn that soon enough.
Yeah.
They will learn that soon enough.
I guess I related more to the Democratic Party, but it was like I'll be honest with you, the last election I was just like, I always looked at the Republican Party like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
I did too.
for the vast, generally on the whole, I guess.
Yeah, for a majority of my life, I was the same way.
Yeah, but this last election, and it was just like, I liked Bernie. I didn't agree with everything that he put forth, but I thought he was probably one of the better candidates.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there was like, oh well, they screwed him over to push Hillary up, who is like the worst fucking person to ever run in a presidential election at this point.
Right.
So it was just like, I can't honestly call myself a Democrat anymore, seeing how they behave, in a manner in which why I'm not affiliated with the Republic. It's like, whoa, it's just two sides of the same coin at this point.
We definitely need a reform of some kind. We definitely need a political reform of some kind. I mean, and I don't like to. I mean, a lot of people may get mad at me for this because I do consider myself a constitutionalist. I do believe in the Constitution. I believe our rights are, I mean, our rights they're, if anything sacred, our rights are sacred. I mean, I don't like to call that. I don't really like to use that word, but
Sure.
I mean, our forefathers, they put them down for a reason, for a very specific reason. And I mean, I don't think that the Constitution it can have amendments added and things changed a little bit here and there. But for the most part, I think it should be left alone. I mean, if it's worked for this long, I don't think it's the Constitution that's really the problem. I think the problem is the world is becoming way too politically correct. I
Yeah.
just a trans person asked me the other day, what would you think if a trans man were to come in and use the toilet? And I'm like, well, I would assume they have to go pee. I mean, what else? What else should I think? I mean, I don't think they're in there to pick me up. So I mean, I have no problem with them using. I mean,
My
I don't
answer to
like
that question, a
people are making
solid
such a
hearty
big
who
deal.
gives a fuck.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. I'm like, I don't see how that affects me in one way or another. I mean, no one has ever approached me in a bathroom and been like, hey, you want to get it on? Like, I mean, I wish someone would, but no one's ever done it. I mean, that'd be awesome to have some chick come in and want to just give it up to me in the bathroom, but it's never happened.
Dear Penthouse Forum.
I haven't thought of Penthouse Forum since I was like, I don't think I've seen a Penthouse since I was in my 20s. Shit's a long time ago.
Do magazines still exist?
I'm sure they do. But
it's been a while since I've been to the supermarket. Someone let me know.
Did you see the Sugar Tits video about they want to make it to where you have to buy a porn pass from like convenience stores to log into porn to make sure you're 18? Like, can you imagine?
Shit, really?
Can you imagine going to the store and being like, yeah, I'd like to get a porn pass, please? And they're like, excuse me, sir, I didn't hear you. I want a porn pass. That would be embarrassing as shit.
I gotta go pick up my porn pass, you guys. BRB.
Right. Yeah, that would be it. And kids these days are so computer savvy, dude. They'd find a way around that anyway. There's no stopping them. There is no stopping them.
Yeah. It's like my thing, and I fully acknowledge that, and I agree with you. But like, I do always, anytime they start blaming things for whatever atrocity or tragedy, like, oh, it's video games that cause this shit. Like, I definitely do first go to, there's no reason why adults shouldn't be able to have whatever kind of entertainment they want. And it shouldn't be taken completely away off the table. Just, what about the children type shit? Like, I'll say, yeah, parents, monitor your fucking kids. If you don't want them to see it, make sure they don't see it. Now, and also in admitting that, I'll say you're right. It's damn near impossible not to. But I mean, for fuck's sake, you can't shelter them their whole life either.
Right. I mean, how old were you think you were when you first seen your first porno mag?
Oh fuck, dude! Like single digits. I know that.
Yeah, me too. I think if I remember right, my brother's a little older. My brother actually quite a bit older than me. He's like 14 years older than me. And if I remember right, me and my buddy got caught looking at a play, like it had to have been like a 70s Playboy or early 80s, because like I said, I'm 40, so I think my brother caught me checking out, or maybe I don't even think it was my brother. I think it was my friend's sister that caught us and went and ratted on us, that we were looking at pornography, and but I mean, like our parents didn't really know what to do. I mean, we were 7, like I mean, like how there's some little boys that are like, oh, girls got cooties. I've never been that boy. Trust me. I've always liked the ladies, even when I was like 5.
Same here, man.
Ladies. I mean, I don't think any boys really think girls are icky. They just act like they're icky.
Sure.
I think that's human nature. Well, maybe gay guys. Gay guys might think they're icky.
We'll see. I grew up. I was born in the late '80s, so I grew up during the era in which you could maybe see a tit if you were trying to look through the scrambled pay-per-view just right.
Oh yeah, I remember waiting just for it to come in for just a second.
That is an ass, gentlemen. That is an ass.
Do you remember when internet was so slow that it would take like 4 hours to download one picture, and if it wasn't a good one, you're like, "Fuck!" You just wait another 4 hours.
You just got to go based off the description of the image you're about to click on, knowing you. I mean, fuck. I mean, can you imagine some of the good times trolls had back in those days?
Oh right, yeah. Oh god.
I can't 4 hours to load a picture, and it ends up being some old dude's ass or something,
or like a picture straight out of National Geographic or some shit.
The big floppy tits.
Yeah, big old floppy tits. Is there anything you would like to add before we wrap up? We've been going about an hour. I try not to go too much over an hour on the interviews, because people don't like to, they get a little antsy. So is there anything you'd like to add before we go?
Shit, dude. I'd like to thank you for having me on, interviewing me,
Oh,
and dude, I had a blast, man.
thank you for coming on. I'd love to have you on again sometime. Maybe sometime we can just, if we're just having a bullshit stream, maybe we're talking about conspiracy theories or just
Fuck
making
yes.
just normal Christian bashing or something. I'll shoot you and Frankie both a link.
I'm
Um,
down.
so I really appreciate you coming on. If you're ever if you're ever bored and want need a guest, just hit me up and I'd be more than happy to come on too. Um,
Hell yeah, man.
oh,
We'll
I
get you
do have
booked,
one
man.
last question. I guess I do have one last question.
All right,
If you
shoot.
had to pick out of any religion, which religion would you say has the weirdest custom?
Weirdest. Um, I gotta tell you, it's really hard to beat
That is.
the temple garment.
Oh yes, yes, yes,
It's
yeah,
hard to beat the Mormon magic underwear, man.
yeah,
I don't like. Maybe it's just because I've been watching that Mormon cartoon on loop while we've
yeah.
been scripting the next riff.
Have you got a
But
chance to talk to Mr. Atheist yet?
no, I saw your interview with him, but I have not. I've not had any dialogue with him.
He's a really cool guy, man. I really like Jimmy. He's really funny. But yeah, that was an interesting interview. I'd love to have Jimmy on again. Some actually, I'm gonna do a series of nerd streams. I don't know if you're as nerdy as you are horror-y, but if you're interested, I'm gonna do like I said, a series of nerd streams. I'm gonna do like DC versus Marvel first, favorite comic book hero, imaginary like hypothetical crossovers, stuff like that. So if
Oh,
you're ever
I could get down with that.
yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, I'll let you know when that's going on, and um, I'll be sure to shoot you a link, man. Like I said, I had a really great time talking to you, and
Same
we
here,
have
man.
we have way more in common than you would think. I guess
Yeah,
it's that small town America vibe. Uh,
definitely, man. Definitely. It like when you were talking earlier. I swear it was like this dude's spying on me. Like he's living my life.
right, right. No, it's just a small town America vibe. I would like to thank all of you guys that came and for the couple new subs I got. Thank you so very, very much. Oh, Frustrated Atheist, Don Michaud interviewed you is going to. I will be sure to check that out, and I am also going to sub to
Nice.
your channel. I like to, I think we all got to support the little guy. It's very important.
Definitely.
So, like I said, thank you all for coming. And in a hour and a half, Don will be interviewing. Is it Theo Macy? Theo Macy. Don Michaud's interviewing Theo Macy. So if you get a chance to check that out, another freaking atheist. Um, check that out. He does really good interviews, and he asked me if I would join him. So I guess I think I'm going to be on there as well. So
Nice. I'm gonna have to
uh,
check that out too.
cool, cool. Like I said, thanks again for coming. I would love to have you on again, maybe in a few months. Maybe I'll have a different interview set up. Theo Theo Maki. All I know is I want the world to be a molocracy. When I am king, baby, when I am king. No, I'm just joking. But thank you guys all for coming. I love you all, whether you like it or not. And I
Oh,
will see you guys next time. So you all have a lovely day.